Alright, I got here a Honda Odyssey. I don't know what year. I think it's a 15 Odyssey. Customer complaint is it's not charging. And they put in 3 alternators. And it's still not charging. So he told me he put the original one back in. So let's do some testing. Let me just scan it because these are computer controlled. Alright, there's power here. Alright, let's do a full scan. Alright, so the only codes we have are in the ABS module. It says battery voltage low and battery voltage high. But let's go into the computer. Now, I did notice there's no comm to the electronic power steering. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be, but I don't see any other modules reporting that there's an issue with that. I'm going to go into the computer, and I'm just going to look at the generator command. What do they call it? Alternator, maybe? Yeah, alternator L signal, alternator, alternator control. So the L signal is low. The alternator is commanded on 100% and at 14.5 volts. So let's see what's happening. Right now we have 11.94 volts in the computer. I'm just going to start the car. And it goes down to 12. And the alternator is only showing 42%. Now these things are smart alternators. And that alternator L signal went to high. So let's put the AC on and see if it starts charging. Let's turn the fan on high. And turn the headlights on. Alright, now it should charge if I have everything on. We got 12 volts. But the battery light's not on. See that? So it's just not charging, but there's no battery light. Do we have a blown fuse to the cluster? Yeah, look, I go into gear, it goes down, it's at 12 volts. Usually on these cars, they hover around 12.6 when it doesn't need the power. But when you turn the lights on, or I think the blower motor, it should go up. Let me see if there's an actuation test. Alright, let me go into the cluster. I did notice that, wait, is this the cluster, the gauge system? There's no comm to that either. So let me get a diagram of this alternator. Alright, so the alternator is right here. It's dripping oil right here, so this has to be, or maybe they replaced that already, I don't know. Okay. Here's the fuse box. Alright, let's pull up a diagram for this. Starting and charging. We need the charging circuit. Alright, so the battery connects to, goes through the main fuse, and that goes into the underhood fuse box. There's some unit there. And then the main wire from the main fuse goes straight to the alternator, the big terminal on the alternator. Then PCM has CAN lines going into it, and then there's these 3 wires going to the alternator. The alternator C, the alternator F, and alternator L. Now there is an ignition one that comes from fuse 3 10 amp, but that fuse gets fed from fuse 12, which is a 20 amp fuse. Now where is this? This is the Okay, this is the underhood fuse relay box, and this is the driver under dash fuse relay box. So we got to see if we have power hot and on or start at fuse 3. Now, since our light doesn't come on the cluster, I want to check this fuse 16, because this fuse the cluster, and I guess that's what grounds the signal inside the cluster to turn the light on. Let me just turn key on, engine off, and see if we have a battery light. We do. So, not sure what that means. I'm not sure if that means that the fuse is good, but we'll check it anyway. So, I got the key on. Alright, let's see. Alright, we're going to ground this right here. This is the battery sensor. It looks tight. Just make sure our ground's good. Okay, test light lights up. So now let's go here. Underhood fuse relay box, right rear of engine compartment. So that's on that side, fuse 3. Alright. Is this it? Fuse 3? ACGFR. I think this must be it. And it's power on both sides. Okay. Alright, what else do we have to check? Let me just make sure there's power. the main feed right here. And there is. Okay. So that means our main fuse is good. Now what else is there? And this one, driver under dash. Oh, sorry, that's inside the car. Fuse 24, a fuse 11, and a fuse 12 we know is good because this one has power. Fine, so we need fuse 11 and fuse 24. All right, let's see if we could get in here. We'll ground this over here. Now we need fuse 24 and 11. Alright, here's fuse 11. That one's good on that side and good on that side. And fuse 24 is this one. And that one's good. Alright, now let's just check. There was one more I wanted to just see. So it's a fuse 12. And that's good. Okay, so all these are good. All right, so it wasn't as easy as I was hoping. There's one more I missed. There's a fuse 16 right over here. I don't think I checked that one. Why not? Yeah. Fuse 16. There's a backup fuse. 10 amp right here. And that one's also good. Okay. Alright, here's the battery management system description. This consists of a battery sensor, the gauge control module, the MICU, the rear MICU, the alternator, and the PCM. The battery sensor measures the battery current. Okay, while the engine is running, while the engine is idling, the battery sensor measures the battery current, voltage, and temperature values, and sends this data to the gauge control module via the UART line. The gauge control module sends the idle speed control signal and alternator control signal to the PCM via the FCAN line. Then, based on these signals, the PCM determines the idle speed that is appropriate for the current state of charge of the battery, and also controls the alternator output. So here we got the battery sensor talks to the UART, to the cluster, which talks to the PCM, and that talks to the engine and the alternator. So what I'm thinking is, we have no comm to the gauge module. So it probably doesn't know the battery sensor. Battery current sensor. Alright, battery current's leaving, so it knows it's not charging. So I'm just going to try to go into the gauge module one more time. So it's showing up gray, which usually means there's no comm. You know, let me go fully out, and now let's try to go in. No, okay. I gotta make sure that we're not supposed to have communication. I really think we are. He said he has another exact same car, 15 Odyssey. I'm gonna go down there and just try to communicate with that. I just want to see what the difference is. All right, he's straight ahead. Okay, this one right here. So they told me the key's in it. Okay. All right, let's see what's happening on this one. It's a 2016. Should be the same thing. All right, let me do a scan on this one. We didn't have comm with the EPS either. Let's see if this one has comm. It doesn't. Okay. And it doesn't have comm with the meter either. Okay, fine. So I'm wrong. It doesn't have comm with the meter or with the EPS. So I'm barking up the wrong tree. It's very good to have a donor vehicle. All right, let me go back to that car and see what I can find. Actually, let me just go look at the alternator over here. I just want to see what the data pins say. All right, so we see battery voltage from battery sensors at 14. Battery current is giving a positive current of 1 amp, and that's the battery. I don't know the difference between the battery and the battery sensor. But the alternator controls 14.5, just like ours in the other car. Alternator's at high, and the alternator's at 40%, and it's charging at 14. So it really looks like we just have a bad alternator. Again, now they said they put in 3 alternators. I wonder if they put it from the same place. I'm gonna go ask them that before I go check at the actual alternator. All right, I misunderstood before. He told me that this is the 3rd alternator. When he said original, he didn't mean he put back in the original. He put an original from Honda. So he had 2 from one parts place. They both didn't work, so now he tried one from, this is from Honda itself. I'm trying to see, is the belt loose? Doesn't seem like it. All right, here's the connector. There's 4 pins. I want to see if any of them have, the terminals are loose. All right, let me go get a pin fitment tool. I'm just gonna feel with this tool how it feels in each one. All right, there's definitely tension on all of them. So let me get a diagram and see if I can figure anything out. All right, keys on. So we have an ignition wire coming from that fuse over there. Number 2, the tan wire, is ignition. So that should just have power. So I got my test light. Pin 2 is the tan wire. I'm just gonna go from the back. All right, we got power right there. Then there's the F, the C, and the L. Now, it didn't tell me what those mean, but I'm assuming the C is the alternator command. You know one thing I never checked? I never checked the ground to the alternator. The alternator has to be case grounded. Let me check that, because I don't really know what these signals are supposed to be. I couldn't really find anything in service information. Let me plug this in for now. Let me start the car. Let's just see what the ground is. Well, I'm just gonna take a test light from battery negative and touch the alternator housing with it. It should not light up. Alright, so it doesn't look like it's a bad ground. Now let's just see what we got on these wires. I'm gonna get a scope. Just to quickly look at these wires. Alright, let's see. I got here a scope. Just gonna ground this. Okay. Turn this on. This scope is by a company called FNIRSI. Now this scope, they sent it to me. It's a pocket scope, 2-channel. It also has a waveform generator and also a multimeter. Signal generator, and a multimeter. So, you know, if you need all in one, it's a little cheaper than the other one I usually use. Let's try it out. So I'm on 100 milliseconds of division, 2 volts of division. I'm just not as used to it, so bear with me. Okay, probes X1, DC. All right. Let's get a piercing probe. All right, I'm just gonna go to the green one first. All right, let's see what's on this green wire. And on this green wire, I got nothing. And the green wire is supposed to be alternator C. All right, this is the red wire. And there we got a nice square wave. What is it, from 2 to 5 volts? It's a 50% duty cycle. Sorry, 60% duty cycle. At about 5 volts. And that's on the red wire. But we have nothing on the C wire. This moves the height. And this moves the, okay, so now we're 1 second division, 500 milliseconds, 200 milliseconds. All right, now we're at 500 milliseconds of division. All right, this is 500 milliseconds division here. We'll just stay on 200. All right, so we got, definitely have a good signal from there. I wonder where that's coming from. I'm going to disconnect the alternator and out flatlines. So the computer is sending this and it's seeing the alternator and triggering. I just plugged it in. I definitely heard a difference. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Do we have anything on the blue wire? All right, this is the blue wire. And that is that. All right, now I'm at 5 volts of division, so I'm at about 11 volts. Now let me just see, is there a menu? Let's add on voltage. Okay. Now we should have a voltage there. An average of 11 volts, yeah, okay. So that's what the blue is. The blue, I guess, is like the live feed. We don't have anything on the C wire. Let me make sure. Let me try to give a signal onto the C wire and see what happens. Okay. So I got nothing on there. I'm going to give, through a test light, battery power. Let me just get my scan. Let me just get a multimeter hooked up. I'm going to hook a multimeter up to the battery just so we can see the charging, or lack of charging. It's definitely holding a charge somewhat. Alright, I'm going to hit right here with a test light, and there we go. It goes up to 13. See? So, what am I doing? I'm giving power through a test light. Now, this is just grounding it, but now we have a good charge. So we know the alternator is good. I got to find where this wire comes out of the PCM and see if there's a broken wire. Alright, so it comes from, we're looking at the green wire, C42. So it's connector C, pin 42. Alright, so here we are, connector C. And now on the bottom we have a green, and we should have a blue right next to it, and we do. Okay, so it's this wire right here. I'm gonna get a piercing probe, stick it in there, plug that back in. Alright, I'm gonna probe this right here. Okay. Now before anything, I just want to omit till here. Oscilloscope, multimeter. So now we're on auto, so this should just go to ohms. Alright, seems like there's continuity. So what we're going to do is we're just going to jump from here to here and see if this thing charges. Alright, we're just going to jump it on. Use the black side. Okay. Alright. So this will take care if there's any wiring issues. Okay, we got 12.65 in the battery. Let's start it up. And we still got nothing. But what we could do is to test that wire. I'm going to give power over here. Disconnect this wire right here. And then give power like that. And we're charging. So we know the wiring from the computer to this is good. Now why are we not charging? It looks like we have a bad computer. Not charging. If I give this power feed, which is being grounded. Is it supposed to be grounded? Maybe that's shorted to ground. That's the problem. I'm gonna go test that on the other car. No, I just shut the car. I just want to see one thing. Let's see if this thing's shorted. This is grounded even when the car's off. And it is. We'll just make sure it's not coming from the alternator. Actually, no, we'll just take out the computer so we'll know if it is coming from the alternator. So it's coming from the computer. Yeah, it's grounded through the computer. Let me go check on this other one if it's also doing that. I really think this is just shorted to ground. Alright, here's our donor car. Alright, I got the wire pierced. Let's see. I'm on the green wire. We're all plugged in. This one's the battery positive. If I hit a ground, it lights up. Okay, now I'm gonna hit this right here, and it does not light up. We just turn the key on just in case it needs the key. Even though over there it didn't, maybe it like goes to sleep. Nothing, no light. So we have a short to ground in that computer. All right, I'm just gonna hook the scope up. I just want to see, because we had a flat ground, and even with the test light we had a ground. So let's just get the test light out of there, and let's put this in here. Okay, and we're gonna put this to battery ground. Okay, so we have nothing on here now. It's grounded. Let's start the car. Let's see what we got. Oh, we got voltage. We have around 7 volts. That's it. That computer shorted to ground on the other car. All right, so I'm back on this car. I just want to show you the short. So right now, I got everything plugged in. Well, not yet. All right, I got the alternator plugged in. I'm on the green wire right there. I have a test light going to from battery positive. If it touches the ground, it lights up. If I go here, car's off, it lights up, showing me there's short. There's a pathway to ground that's enough to light a test light. Now, if I unplug this, the alternator, the short stays. So we know. Now, how do I know it's not in the wiring? If I unplug the computer, see, the short goes out. So telling me that the short is in the computer. So that's it, I'm calling it back computer. I'm assuming what happened is, if I had to guess, is they told me this solenoid, the VVT solenoid, it was leaking all over straight onto the old alternator, covered it in oil. So they changed the alternator and this. That's why there's a little bit of oil here. It just didn't get cleared off. If you see, there's a little bit of oil, but he said that's just from, you know, because they just changed this. And then after that, all the alternators didn't work. I'm assuming the oil somehow killed the computer. All right, I don't think I'm gonna be coming back for the computer because they'll probably do it themselves. But at least the customer now has an OEM alternator. All right, thanks for watching.
Several days later.
All right, I'm back on this Honda Odyssey with the charging issue. If you notice, I'm at a different shop now. Well, the customer didn't trust the diagnosis of the first shop, so he came here. I mean, I diagnosed it, but yeah. So they came to the shop, who then they called me, and okay, I told them it needs a computer, so they put one in, and now I'm here to program it. Ground's disconnected. It's good enough for now. Alright, let me see. Okay. Here's the key in the car. Yeah, here's the key. Okay. Is there any power? Yeah, okay. Just see, does it start? No, okay, I didn't think it would start. Oh yeah, the key light's on, flashing right there. Now on these, you just have to enter the VIN. And I think there's like a replace ECM feature. Should I do it on the MO side? We'll just do it on the MO side. I think there's an option on both. It's an Odyssey. I don't want to do a VIN because it's the wrong VIN. It's a smart key. It's a push to start. Okay, yes. Alright, so now control unit. Keyless system. Wait, this might not work. I might have to go out of there. Yes. Alright, so there's an ECM PCM replacement. We're just going to do that. I don't know if you're going to be able to see the screen because I have this matte thing on, which almost makes it that I can't see the screen. Probably have to switch it, find a different one. Okay, things are happening. It's beeping. Okay. For some reason it failed. So I first have to write the VIN. Let me try it on the diagnostic side. See, it's pulling up as a 2014 Odyssey. I'll just push yes, and then we'll go to Hot Functions. No, let's just go into Diagnosis. We're going to go into the engine computer. Okay, and then in here, there should be under Special Functions an option to change the VIN. VIN check. Okay, okay. Alright, let me enter the right VIN. Alright, we'll put the VIN in. Complete. The VIN has been ready. Alright, so now, push escape. See if this thing starts now. It does. It runs. Now, here's the big thing. Is it charging? It's charging right here. We got 13.56 volts. I don't know if it's live, so let me just go into... So all I had to do was write the VIN, nothing else. Let me just go into the engine and we'll go to live data. Oh yeah, it's live, it's moving. 13.87. That's it, this thing's charging. So Listen, I get to work on the car twice for 2 different shops. I guess that's the advantage when the customer doesn't know you're looking at his car. Or if the customer doesn't know you exist. But I gotta tighten this cable. But I'm gonna put a multimeter on just to show you, because I don't know if you were able to see that on the screen. Alright, I'm just gonna put a multimeter on this. So this thing just autos. This multimeter just goes in auto. You don't have to push voltage or anything. Well, let's see if it works. So there we go, 14.19 volts. This car is fixed. It was a bad computer. First time I've ever seen it. Just tighten that. Alright, this guy's good to go. Thanks for watching.